Welcome everybody. My name is Jos Bergman and I'm working for Technology2Enjoy as a PeopleSoft consultant, and I would like to give you a short demo about the PeopleSoft test framework. What is the PeopleSoft test framework, PTF? The PeopleSoft test framework enables users to record test scripts and to play them back to test the application after patches have been applied. The test scripts are stored in the database as application designer objects and can be inserted into a project to be migrated to other environments. The PTF client has to be installed on the user's computer. The client communicates with the PeopleSoft application database using Integration Broker. The PeopleSoft test framework is not designed to be used for load testing. It follows the recorded actions of a single user. You can download sample test cases from Oracle by opening doc ID 216-7721.1 on the Oracle support site. These test cases are for the purpose of illustration, to have an idea what a test case looks like. In the live demo, we're going to create and record a test script. We're going to modify the test script to force an error, to see how the system behaves when a test script goes to error. And we're going to be executing and playing back the test script that we recorded. Let's log into the test framework, and then we can start with the demo. As you can see, it opens up a sign-on window, and you see your database name and your server and port number, your node ID, and your user ID. Let me enter my password, and then hit OK. And now it opens up the test framework. On the right, on the left upper side, you see a folder structure, and there are some sample test cases delivered by Oracle under the automation folder. And you see for various modules, you have them for asset management, for general ledger, for purchasing, and you can actually open them. And then here's a test script for allocation steps. And here you have the test cases. But in this particular demo, we're going to be creating our own test script. So I'm going to close this, and we're going to go to Create Test. I'm going to click on the button, New Test Case. And suppose that we're going to create a test script and record it about entering a journal and saving the page. Suppose that we have applied patches that touch the code of the journal entry page, and we want to record a test script to make sure that the page is still working correctly after we apply patches meant for the journal entry page. So I'm going to call the test case GL journal entry. And let me just hit OK. And then I'm going to give it a description as well here. And let me save the test case. And give it a new value here as well. Okay. So now the test case is actually saved. And now we can start recording it. So what we can do is, I'm I'm going to hit the record button, and that opens up the test recorder. And I'm going to open up the Internet Explorer browser, which is used to record test scripts. And I have to connect the test recorder to the browser. So I'm going to drag this little hand here to the browser. And now the browser is connected. The browser is now hooked to the test recorder. And now we can start recording our test script. So I'm going to hit the record button. And I'm going to enter my user ID. Oh, sorry. VP1. And as you can see, it records all the actions that I do. So the test recorder records here name user ID VP1. So now I'm going to put in the password. And I'm going to hit sign in. And you can see here that it when I hit the button sign in, it records the submit. So now I'm going to open up the navigator to navigate through the to the journal entry page. And scrolling down here to general ledger. And you can see that the test recorder is recording all my actions here, browsing through the menu, clicking on journals, and journal entry, create update journal entries. You will notice that the application responds a bit slower because the test recorder is recording all our moves and actions. So that's why the application behaves a bit slower than normal. I'm going to add a journal now by clicking on the add button, and then I'm going to go to the lines tab. And you can see it records what we just did, page go to lines. And then here I'm going to enter an account like this. And I'm going to put in an amount. Let's say $1,000. You can see that it also records the amount that we just entered as the foreign amount, $1,000. So now let me hit the save button to save the journal. And you can see that, one moment, let me first hit. You can see here that it now records the pound IC save. So the test recorder looks at the HTML code behind the page. So, for example, suppose the save button on the page would move to another place on the page. Let's say it moves from left to right. If Oracle decides to change the page and they move the save button to another place on the page, then the test script would still work because it looks at the HTML code, and in this case, behind the save button is the HTML code IC save. So by looking at the HTML code, the test scripts will still work even if the pages change, if the layout of the page change and the buttons are replaced on the page, repositioned on the page. Let me click on OK. And now let me stop the test recorder. The recording is now stopped, so let me close it. And here you see that the system has recorded a test script You see here that the user ID that I entered while logging in into PeopleSoft, the user ID is recorded here. The password that I submitted is encrypted, and then it records my browsing through the menus to go to the journal entry component here. And this is the point where I enter the page journal entry component. I click on add, and here I went to the lines tab and I entered a value for the account, 500,000, and I also entered a foreign amount, $1,000. $1,000. And then I pressed the save button, and that is also being recorded here. So now let's save this test script. And so now the test script is saved, and now let's force an error. We're going to execute and play back this test script, and let's force an error so that we can see how the system behaves when a test script goes to error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the account number here into something else. So I'm just going to replace it by Jos, my first name. I know for a fact that that doesn't exist in PeopleSoft, so the system should give an error message when the test script is played back and carried out. When it's executed, it should give an error message that the account doesn't exist. So let me save the test script. And let me close the browser here. Let's see, I did save it. Wait, let me see. Yeah, oh, the saving is. Oh, yeah, it's done. Okay. So now let's run and execute this recorded test script. So we're going to play back this recorded test script. So I'm going to hit the play button, the play button here. And you can see in the right upper side, it opens up a yellow bar where it shows all the actions that are being executed by the test framework. I'm not doing anything anymore. I'm not touching my mouse. I'm not doing anything. I'm just looking at my screen, and PeopleSoft, the test framework, is now automatically executing my recorded test script, and it does everything automatically. You can see here that PeopleSoft is now entering my user ID and password, and everything is being done automatically by the test framework. And you can follow the actions in the upper yellow bar where you can see all the actions that it's currently doing and executing. And now we're logged in, and now the test framework should open up the navigation bar, the nav bar. And now it should click the, now it opens up the navigation bar, the navigator. And now it should go to the actual journal entry component. You see now it goes to that particular URL of the process journals. We're now in the add page, and it should actually click on the add button in a moment. And now it does the action add. So now it will add the journal. And now it should go to the lines tab. See, now we see the function page go to lines, text is equal to lines. Now it goes to the lines tab. And now it should actually enter that account with my first name. See, now it enters the account Jos, and that of course doesn't exist. So the test script will fail. It will try to open up the prompt. Nothing doesn't exist, no value. And hopefully, let's see what happens here. It should actually fail now. pretty soon. It will still enter the amount, $1,000, and then it probably should return an error. Yeah, now we're going to get the message that an account is required because it doesn't exist. And now it records an error. And now it's basically, as you can see, the test framework created a log file, an execution log file, and we can see that the result is fail. And then we can scroll down all the these are all the steps that were carried out by the test framework. And we see here that the account YOS, which doesn't exist, and you can see here that the system recorded a screenshot of the error message. So here we see here's the screenshot. So it created the screenshot of the error message. So if I double click on it, it will open up the screenshot, and we can see that the account is required for line 1, and that's because it couldn't find an existing account. Because it couldn't find a valid account, and in that way this is very handy information to have, because it allows you to see where the test script failed and what steps were executed by the test framework. You can also see here that we see that it also entered an amount for 1,000. So all the steps are being mentioned here in the execution log. You see here underneath the execution options, you see the link of the database, the link of the PeopleSoft environment. You see the machine information. This is the information of this is my local computer information on which the test framework is running. And so it gives you a good information to see what the test results look like. If the test script had ran to success, we would have seen a result of pass with a green color, pass with a green color, and then it would have been passed. And in this way, you can, using the test framework, you can automate your test scripts. You can record them and you can play them back, and that gives you that helps you automate your test scripts by using the test framework. In terms of setting up the test framework, you can read more about that in the People books. It's very well documented how to set it up, and so that basically concludes this short video about the test framework.